A good operation and maintenance contract should clearly cover all the necessary aspects and set proper terms that legally bind the party responsible for carrying out the O&M services, which is usually the PV plant operator. The main goal is to clearly define the scope of the services and the responsibilities of the operator, so there is no room to avoid obligations. At the same time, the contract should define an acceptable level of compensation, often in the form of financial penalties, in case the operator fails to meet those obligations. For this reason, it is strongly recommended that O&M contracts are written in a way that leaves as little room as possible for ambiguity or misinterpretation. One of the most important elements of a solid O&M contract is the inclusion of clearly defined key performance indicators, or KPIs. These KPIs should be measurable in a quantitative way. 3 commonly used KPIs are worth highlighting. The first and most widely used KPI is the Guaranteed Performance Ratio, or GPR. This indicator is directly linked to the energy output of the PV plant. It is expressed as a percentage and represents the ratio between the actual energy produced by the plant and the theoretical energy it should produce under ideal conditions. The theoretical performance ratio is calculated during the project contracting phase using typical meteorological year data. Based on this value, the guaranteed performance ratio is then defined in the O&M contract. In practice, 2 approaches are commonly used. Either the guaranteed PR is set equal to the theoretical PR, or a slightly lower minimum GPR is defined. For example, if the theoretical PR is 85%, the contract may either guarantee the full 85% or set a minimum guarantee at, say, 83%. Both approaches are acceptable, but setting the GPR equal to the theoretical value is stricter, as it leaves no buffer between the guaranteed level and the plant's theoretical potential. The second most common KPI in O&M contracts is the guaranteed availability of the PV plant. This is also expressed as a percentage. It is important to distinguish between plant availability and overall availability that includes grid outages. From the O&M operator's point of view, only plant-level availability is relevant, since grid issues are outside their control. Industry best practices generally recommend setting guaranteed plant availability at 99% or higher. In fact, guarantees below 99% are very rare today, except in special cases. Plant availability can be calculated either using a time-based method or an energy-based method, depending on how the contract is structured. In some cases, O&M operators also commit to a guaranteed response time for faults or alarm events. This is usually defined as the maximum time allowed between the occurrence of a fault and the start of corrective action. Response times are typically categorized based on the severity of the event. Critical events, such as those affecting safety or involving fire risk, require immediate intervention. Major events that significantly impact energy production should be addressed within 1 or 2 days. Non-critical issues can usually be handled during the next scheduled maintenance visit. While response time guarantees are relatively straightforward, the O&M contract must clearly define the different event categories and their corresponding response times, as well as how response time is measured. That said, response time guarantees alone are generally not sufficient to fully bind the O&M operator to performance obligations. Instead, they should be used as a complementary guarantee alongside more fundamental KPIs, such as guaranteed performance ratio, availability, or energy yield. Reliable monitoring systems are essential in this context, as they ensure timely detection of faults and allow response times to be properly measured.